Unfortunately for us, living these days, especially living in the West, living in countries like the UK, we're living in countries and societies where the idea and the belief of secularism is the belief which governs and rules over us. And we have a lot of pressures to conform, and we have a lot of pressures to try and fit into this worldview and to fit into this ideology. And these lifestyles which we are forced to try and live a life of contradict the values of Islam, contradict the values of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He has set out for mankind. Whether that be social media pressures, whether that be in schools, universities, whether that be in our workplaces, anywhere we are going, we are faced with environments where there are difficult challenges in order to try and uphold and keep our faith intact. Yet, as we call ourselves followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, we need to recognize that we are not alone in this struggle, and that there are ways in which we can counteract these difficulties and ways in which we can remain steadfast. And of course, this comes through the words of Allah Azza wa Jal, in His holy book, in the Holy Quran, through His teachings of His Messenger Rasulullah, and through the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. And today, inshallah, we'll look at the struggles which especially young people face living in a secular country and living in a secular society, and we'll try and provide practical solutions for these people and remind them of the wisdom from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help guide people through all of these difficult trials. Now first we need to understand what is secularism, because it's a difficult word to understand and it's a difficult concept to understand if you haven't been exposed to it before. Secularism is what you find in this country, it's what you find all across Europe, it's what you find in America, it's what you find in a lot of countries in the world where there is no religion which controls the state. It is the principle of trying to conduct the affairs of human beings and conduct the lives of human beings without religion being involved in it. And therefore it means that according to these people, if you want to rule over a society and you want to make people think in a certain way, then you should do so without religion. And you should do so based on your own feelings and your own logic, the logic of man, not the logic of God. But this means that we have a problem, because we conduct our entire lives around the religion of Islam. We conduct our lives around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He has commanded for us. We follow the laws in which He sent down in the Quran and through His messengers and through the Imams. So there is a clear difference between the two. One society wants you to live according to the will of people and man-made laws. Yet Islam tells you that you should only submit to the laws of Allah. So there are two different lifestyles, two different mindsets, two different types of belief which we are forced to choose between. And if we define what secularism is, and we know already what Islam is, we know what Sharia is, and we know that we must follow it, if we look a little bit more into secularism, we see that it is not just an innocent belief which some people hold on to. It is something which actively goes to challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The goal of secularism and what it wants to achieve is to avoid the restraints of morality and divine guidance. What does that mean? It means that it wants to take people away from the akhlaq and from the teachings of Islam and let people act according to how they feel, without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's judgment or guidance being present. It aims to get rid of all the morality, the akhlaq, the ethics and the human decency from controlling the society. Meaning that it is in the hands of individuals who are not ma'soom to come and tell you how to live your life, and to tell you how all of the people around you, all of the institutions, organizations, schools around you should be run. This is difficult, because we believe that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who can tell us how these things should operate. Yet some people come with arrogance and they say, no, we don't need this. We have our own intelligence and we can make use of it, and we can decide how a country or a government or a society should be run. Therefore, secularism wants to get rid of all of the Islamic influences, not just the overtly religious like salah, like fasting, like hajj, whatever. It doesn't want to just get rid of these things. It wants to get rid of all of the good qualities which Islam asks of people, of humility, of being humble, of being kind to people, of helping the poor. It doesn't hold any importance to these things. Instead, it wants people to live their lives according to how they want to live them, with all the negative influences which that brings. So especially for the Shabab and for young Muslim peoples, it brings about a couple of different problems and a couple of different struggles. The first one is that they have identity crisis. Many young Muslims feel torn. They don't know which side they should fall into. Why? Because the Islamic influence is limited only in their household and in their mosque or in their Husayni. Whereas everything else they do, from the moment they leave the house and they get on public transport, or they go to school, or they go to university, or they go into work, everything around them has nothing to do with Islam. And so everything in their environment is pushing them away from their religion and trying to take them away from everything which we hold value of. The pressure which comes as a result makes people feel like they need to fit in. They need to fit into this type of country's beliefs, this type of country's mindset. And eventually what it will lead to, if someone does not have a strong faith in their religion or strong faith in Allah, is that they will start compromising on their salah because they feel they have more important things to do. They will compromise on their hijab because they feel it is awkward or embarrassing to wear it here and that people will judge them. It will mean that they stop living a lifestyle which is halal, stop living a lifestyle which accords to the Islamic values, and eventually it will eat away at their core beliefs, their belief in Tawheed, their belief in Nabuwah, their belief in Imam, their belief in Ma'ad. All of these things slowly will begin to chip away, because the place that they are living in doesn't believe in this and actively tries to take them away from it. But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? He says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and never will those Jews or those Christians approve of you until you follow what they believe in. But you should say, indeed, the guidance of Allah is the only guidance. So Allah tells us, when you have this crisis, identity crisis, and you don't know whether to follow the Western lifestyle or the Islamic lifestyle, know that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring you true guidance. And that those people who live, whether they be Jews, Christians, non-Muslims, they will never be happy with you. They will never take you in as one of their own until you give up all of your beliefs and you follow what they believe in. And it should pose a reminder for us that when we see people going out and doing drugs, drinking, clubbing, meeting up with girls, all of these type of things, it doesn't bring you happiness, it doesn't bring you peace, it chips away at you, and still, even though it causes so much harm to you, those people will still not accept you. Those people will still not be happy with you until you give up anything of importance, anything which carries religious values in it. As our Imam says, you shouldn't be a slave to other people when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you as a free person. This devotion, this obedience should only be to Him. It shouldn't be to the systems or the people around you so that you can try and please them. And we shouldn't be scared of resisting and standing up to these systems in the West. We shouldn't be afraid of following our own beliefs, following our Islam, without any compromise. We shouldn't need to give up any part of our religious beliefs to appease other people. We shouldn't get rid of our moral compass as directed by our religion. Amir al-Mu'mineen tells us not to be slaves to this system and not to fall into the trap of conforming and behaving in the way in which other people on this planet want you to behave. He says only behave in the way in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you and commanded you to behave. We feel like we need to fit in. Amongst non-Muslims, amongst kuffar, amongst Christians, amongst Jews, we feel like we need to be like them. Or we need to act in a way in which will make them happy, even if it means giving up what is important to us. But why? From a young age, you should recognize, and your parents should teach you, that you are only on this earth to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be obedient and devoted to Him, and not those people who are around you and will try and take you away from Him. Because when eventually that day comes where you pass away and you are being lowered into your grave, your friends around you, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, cannot change your fate. They cannot answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the deeds in which you did. All of your actions will be judged based on what you did, on what actions you took, on which mindset and belief system you followed. And so, you should be proud of your identity as a Muslim, and you should carry out all of your actions in a way in which your religion tells you, despite the hardships and the difficulties which you will inevitably face doing this in a country like this. Because you will face a lot of barriers and a lot of difficulties and a lot of challenges. And the true test comes when you are faced with these difficulties. Do you give in? Do you give up all of your beliefs? Do you end up being a weak person? Or do you have the bravery and the courage to look it in the face and to believe in your own system, believe in your own religion? This takes courage. It's very difficult. And a lot of people will not be able to hold on to their religion, which is why from a young age it is important to instill these values in children. If you don't have a community which supports your beliefs, if your community has a low amount of Muslims, a low amount of followers of Ahlul Bayt, and no one is doing anything to help create a movement, to help create a society of Muslims, then you should be the one to take it upon yourselves to start this. Because when one person starts, other people will follow them. There is also in our society here a lot of pressure in terms of dating, relationships, drinking, drugs, clubbing, alcohol. All of these things are normalized here. All of these things are extremely normal for a person who is secular, a person who doesn't hold on to values of Islam. There is no issue for a non-Muslim if he goes out drinking and clubbing and having relationships with multiple people. Whereas for us, of course, we know it's forbidden. And so when everyone around us is doing it, and we are not, we feel alone, we feel isolated, we feel like we are the outcasts, we are the weird people, we are the strange people. And maybe we should just give in, and maybe we should just do it. Because at the end of the day, Allah will forgive us, and He forgives all of our sins. And maybe it's good if they see a Muslim taking part in certain activities so they know that we are not extremists or we are not terrorists. Some people actually believe like this. And they don't understand that this society promotes all of these things. It promotes the idea that there is no God to hold you accountable when you die. You should live your lives free. You should live your lives in the way in which you want to. All of the haram desires within you, let them happen. Do them. Nothing will come of it as a bad result. And so, when this begins to creep into the minds of young Muslims, or even old Muslims, they begin to normalize it within themselves. And they think that all of this haram is just fun, and it's harmless, and it won't come back to bite me. And even if I do something wrong, then Allah will forgive me for it. You have Muslims then becoming lonely. They think, it's difficult for me to get married here, I don't have a lot of money, and there's a lot of women, and I can go and have a relationship with them and become boyfriend and girlfriend, and then I will have someone who can support me and take care of me. Then you have the social media which comes in, and it constantly pushes haram content at you. It tells you should go on a dating app. Even now they have Muslim dating apps where you can marry a wife supposedly. And this is done by looking at their pictures. And you look through all the pictures and then you decide, is this someone I want to marry? This, of course, is haram. But our culture realized that some Muslims are strong. And going out clubbing, they don't want to do this. Going out and meeting women, they don't want to do this. So what they do is they create an app. And they say it's halal dating, halal marriage. All you need to do is look at the photos and you choose if you want to marry them. In what planet is this haram? In what planet is this something which is allowed? What they have done is they have taken a haram app and just stuck the name halal in front of it. If I come and I slaughter a pig, and I give it on a plate to you and I say, this is some pork, you'll say, I can't eat it because it's haram. I say, no, it's halal pork. Yeah. Does that make it halal? No. Yet some Muslims feel it is halal when they see these dating apps. Or when they see clubs and they say, well, you know, if I'm not speaking to a woman or I'm not drinking alcohol, then I can go and do it. This isn't the case. Islam tells you to avoid all of the things which can drag you into a sin. Even if something in itself, you may not be doing a very wrongful action, if it's something which is going to take you into that wrongful action, then you should stay away from it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in terms of the loneliness and people seeking boyfriends and girlfriends, tells us, do not approach unlawful sexual intercourse with people because it is an outrage. It is an evil thing for you to do. Allah commands us multiple times in the Quran to stay away from these things. Why? because the harm which it will bring you outdoes any of the benefits. The same with alcohol. Some people say, well, alcohol, if you drink one glass of red wine a day, it takes cancer away from you and it prevents this disease. I don't care. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has infinite wisdom, and He told us that the disadvantages and the negatives of drinking alcohol far outweigh any of the benefits of drinking alcohol. Therefore, stay away from it. So how do we address this issue? Not just alcohol, but relationships. Well, Islam doesn't forbid a man and a woman from speaking to each other. What it forbids is creating friendships with one another, between a man and a woman, between a boy and a girl. A friendship which will lead to nothing. A friendship which does not have marriage at the end goal. Why? Because then these people will have feelings for each other. They will get to know each other better. They may fall in love with each other, and therefore, if they are not looking to get married, they will end up doing harm. So Islam says you can speak to a man or you can speak to a woman as long as the end goal is getting married, and as long as you keep the conversation in a way which is respectful and modest. It doesn't encourage you to go casually dating multiple people. But one of the failures on us is that we do not create environments where a man can speak to a woman comfortably. If you see some people, they want to get married and they are given their permission from their parents to engage with one another and to speak under supervision, some people, Muslims, still come with judgment and they say, look at these two boys and girls, they're speaking to each other. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know if they're already married. You shouldn't be casting a negative judgment or assumption about them. This is why people feel scared. A young Muslim man feels scared to go and talk to a Muslim girl for marriage because he's scared how people will react to it. He is scared of the rumors which will start. He feels like it's haram in any circumstance to speak to a woman. And this causes a lot of difficulties and a lot of problems for that man. Because when he comes to get married, he will not know how to behave. He won't know how to speak to a woman. He won't know how to treat his wife with respect or with dignity. You end up in a culture like some countries like India, where the men and women don't speak to each other. And the men become perverted with all of their ideas about women. They see them as an object. They see them as something which is not a human being. Something which they can use for their own pleasures and then nothing else. This is the dangerous circumstance that we face falling into. So we should avoid these haram situations, and we should encourage people to speak in a way which is halal, in a way which has supervision from elder people who can give them advice and guidance, and always seek marriage, because marriage brings about many blessings. It brings you a peace within yourself. If you go down the route of the haram relationships, it brings you nothing but anxiety and eventually pain, because you have no commitment to one another. Then you have the issue of clubbing, and going to nightclubs, and going to discos. Haram environments where there's a lot of alcohol, drugs, free mixing between men and women, and your friends may encourage you to do it. They may say, you only have one life, live it in the way which you want to, have fun. It's okay, you're just going to have fun and party, it's no big deal. And when people hear that, and they see all of their other friends doing it, they have a fear. This fear is that they're going to miss out, and that they're going to be outcasts, and that no one will accept them if they don't go. But Imam al-Sadiq tells us that the person who goes and sits in a place where there is haram and where there is sins being committed, even if he doesn't do these things, as long as he says nothing about it, then it is like he is participating in it. If you're in a gathering and you're at a table and people are drinking alcohol around you, and you do not disassociate and you do not leave that environment, if you just stay silent, then you have the sin of drinking that alcohol as well. Because you didn't disassociate from it. You didn't put a distance between yourselves and that. And the main question to ask, especially young people in these environments, do you want to become a soldier of Imam al-Mahdi? They say yes. I want to be part of 313 companions of Imam al-Mahdi. Okay. So when Imam al-Mahdi comes back, is he going to look at you in this state and is he going to be proud of you? Is he going to say, this is an individual who I want to represent me, I want to fight under me, who I trust? If the answer is no, then you need to fix your behavior, and you need to make yourself live in a way in which you will be one of the soldiers of the Imam. And you shouldn't struggle to explain this to non-Muslims or to your friends. If they say come clubbing, you should simply say, no, my religion does not allow me to do it, and I have no interest in doing it. You don't need to come up with 1 million different excuses. Oh, I'm scared of it. No. You should be comfortable in rejecting this haram. You should be comfortable saying no to people. And this drinking, as I mentioned, it is normalized. Just one drink, that's what they always used to say to me. Just take one drink of alcohol and you will see us good. And the minute you take this one drink is the minute you fall into so many difficulties. You fall into repeated sin, repeated harm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who have believed, indeed, intoxicants, meaning alcohol, drugs, anything which changes your perception, gambling, and sacrificing on stone altars, this is nothing but defilement from the work of shaitan, so avoid it so that you can be successful. Meaning that if you do succumb and you do start drinking alcohol and taking drugs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very closely tells us, you are not one of the successful people. You are one of the people who fell into the traps of shaitan. So even that first time where people encourage you to do it, stay away. As doctors say, prevention is better than a cure. It's better not to engage in the badness in the first place, rather than having to fix yourself once you have become addicted to it. Lastly, I want to say that you should be prepared for all of the peer pressure which you will face. It is very difficult. But all you need to say is, no thanks, I don't drink alcohol. No thanks, I don't go clubbing. No thanks, my religion does not allow this. The Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam faced extreme pressure. Lady Zainab spoke the truth in the court of Yazid under the threat of being tortured and killed. Yet she didn't compromise. She could have easily said what Yazid wanted her to say and she would be fine. And Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrifices his entire family and all of his companions for standing up for what is right. Whereas he could have just given, he could have just been weak, and he would have had his life saved, and his family would have their life saved. Amir al-Mu'mineen stood up against those who oppressed him, and stood up to those who oppressed Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra. He could have easily sat back and did nothing, but instead he risked everything to stand up for that. So when you are faced in a situation where someone says, have one drink of alcohol, if you don't have the courage to say no to this, then how can you claim to be a follower of the Ahlul Bayt? And how can you be of those who claim to represent and follow the awaited Imam Mahdi? The Imam is expecting you to be strong. He is expecting you not to give in to such small things. And if we take the Ahlul Bayt as our role models, we will never fall into this as well. We have to remember this life is short. So sacrificing these haram pleasures, which will only bring you a little bit of good now, will lead to eternal joy when you eventually, inshallah, go to Jannah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards those who struggle for His sake. He says in the Quran, indeed Allah is with those who fear Him and who are the doers of good. Meaning, if you conduct your life in a way in which everything you do is to please Allah, and you stay away from the things which He has told you to stay away from, then you have nothing to worry about. This is something He promises to us. This is something He tells us is a fact. And so we should believe Him. And we should believe in ourselves that we won't fall into these traps and we won't fall into the works of shaitan. Very quickly, how do we counteract these haram measures? First of all, to strengthen your faith, make sure you are praying all of your salah on time. And make sure that if you do miss it, you make it up. Even if you have spent years missing your salah, you must make these salah up. Secondly, make sure you're attending Husayni, and you are reading Dua, and you are reading Munajat, for example, Ziyarah as well. Sahif al-Sajjadiyah will find a way into your heart and cure all of the diseases which may be in it. And lastly, read the Holy Quran. Even if it's just a few verses a day. The Imams tell us, and the Holy Prophet tells us, if you want to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all you need to do is read the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His holy book. And for all the shuhada, we ask you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha after Salawat ala Muhammad wa alayhi.